You are Locked On Giants Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Bay Area, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Giants Postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer from the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR, and tonight, the Blake Snell debut was spoiled at the hands of the Washington Nationals as they beat the Giants 8-1 under the lights at Oracle Park. Snell only lasted 3 innings and threw a ton of pitches in this one. He had some walks, but he had some strikeouts, a mixed bag in Snell's debut. Ultimately, he gave up 3 runs, and that was more than enough for the Nats to win with the Giants offense in the midst of a slump. And today, we are joined by the host of Locked On Giants, Ben Kaspick, the guy who got the channel off the ground himself. We'll get into what Ben thinks about Snell's debut in just a second, but we'll break all of this down. But first, I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports Bay Area YouTube channel. Please, if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Thanks also for listening to us on the Locked On Giants podcast feed. However you're getting the show, we appreciate it. And make sure to check out Ben's show, Locked On Giants, The Daily Show, for more in-depth coverage. And this episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. And first things first, welcome to the show, Ben. I mean, I feel like weird welcoming you on your own channel, but thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm glad we were able to connect. I've been talking to my, my listeners, but also your listeners now too. So we're like a team now, and so it's good to get together here. Wasn't the best game, but nonetheless good to get together.
Yeah, lots to talk about in this one. And for those of you who don't quite know the dynamic of what's going on here at Locked On, I am here to do the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm also doing Locked On Warriors postcasts, Locked On 49ers postcasts. So I'm here to come to you live after the game for live reaction, where we can get into all the little nitty-gritty pieces of the game itself tonight. On Ben's show, he generally handles bigger picture topics. Ben's really good with data analysis and things like that. So that is kind of what the difference is between our two shows for those of you who are still unfamiliar. And of course, tonight, let's get into it. Snell's debut, again, some ups and downs, 72 pitches, only 39 strikes, but 5 strikeouts. What'd you think, Ben, in this one tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think he was in a 3-ball count to the first 5 to 7 hitters that he faced, something like that. So he could have ended up walking six guys in this game. So it's kind of like par for the course at times for Blake Snell. Obviously, being that it was his first outing of the year, they were not going to extend him once he threw, like you said, 72 pitches in 3 innings. 39 of those were strikes, only 54%. He did strike out 36% of the batters that he faced. So over 1 out of every 3 batters that he faced, he struck out. But he also walked. I mean, he only walked 2, but that was 14% of batters faced. But yeah, mixed bag. You see the strikeout ability. He just didn't have command tonight. And I also just, to just get right to the point, I want to make the point that last year, through his first 9 starts of the season, this guy had a 5.40 ERA. And then for his next and final 23 starts, 1.20. So it just goes to show you. Wow. It just goes to show you. I mean, that was 9 starts at 5.40. Imagine, we're talking about 1 start today. Imagine 8 more, and if he's got a 5.4, and he ended up with a 2.25 and winning the Cy Young. And so it just goes to show you how long of a season it is, and how 1 start doesn't define you at all. And so
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I feel like we all want to, react and yell and scream when the Giants, don't start off the season how we want them. It's offense slumping, Snell leaving something to be desired a little bit in his first start. But to your point, what the numbers we saw from him tonight, at least percentage-wise, statistically, matches up exactly with where he finished last season at. Last season, he finished with a 31.5% strikeout rate and a 13.3% walk rate. So that's pretty much right in line with those numbers. And if he can duplicate that over an extended period of game, obviously you don't want to see the 3 runs being duplicated in the next 3 innings he pitches. But I feel like he's going to settle in. Giants fans, I feel like, are really familiar with guys like this, I mean, if you remember, I know I do, Tim Lincecum always started seasons really slow, and by the end of the year was Timmy, So I guess the question is, are you concerned at all about Snell at this point in the season?
Not one bit, because of what I said. I mean, like, he, like, 9 starts even, you can be bad and end up with he went on a historic run. Like, that final 23 starts that he had was, I think only one pitcher in the history of the game has had a better 23 start stretch, and it was like Bob Gibson. And so if you look at the numbers, yeah, you mentioned the strikeout rate and the walk rate lining up with the career averages, but also just to kind of look at some numbers from tonight. The Nationals had a 429 batting average on balls in play, which, if you look at Snell's career, batting average on balls in play against him, it's going to be pretty normal. 288, right? And so you're talking about taking off 150 points of batting average on balls in play. And he also stranded only 40% of the base runners he allowed, whereas in his career, he strands about 80% of the base runners he allows. And so we're just talking like one game, weird stuff happens like that. You're just like, he's going to allow his base runners, but they're just not going to score as often, and tonight they did. And that's just, the Nationals have done this to the Giants like 3 seasons in a row. It's just games like this over and over and over with this team that's not very good, but they play their best baseball against the Giants. It's crazy, but no concern at all. I mean, Snell's velo was good, and the changeup looked pretty good. I mean, all his pitches looked kind of good. He just wasn't sharp, I would say.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like it's worth mentioning that he got squeezed a ton in this one. There were, I mean, you saw the camera, if you guys are watching the broadcast on NBC, you saw the camera zoom in on Blake Snell's face as he turned after he caught the ball coming back from the catcher and walking back to the mound, and he had his back to the ump, but you could see him say the words 5 strikes, meaning he thought he had thrown 5 strikes and all of them were called balls. It seemed like he was in the 3-0 hole with the first couple batters that he faced in that second inning. It just the wheels fell off. What a weird inning too, by the way. That whole debacle, I guess you could call it. It was just really weird, man. The pickle with the runner scoring and everything just unfolded in the worst possible way for the Giants in that second inning. Wasn't a whole lot the Giants could really do to recover at that point, as this offense has just been hitting a wall lately. And I mean, what more do you really want when from the pitching staff, when it's Snell's first debut again? He hasn't played in a game since like last year. He didn't pitch a game in this spring at all. He's thrown simulated games and things like that, but that's the first time we're seeing him out there on the mound. I think this is to be expected. And what were your kind of expectations of Snell coming into tonight? I thought right around 75, 80 pitches and maybe like 4 to 5 innings of work. So this kind of lines up with that, I think.
Yeah, I would have hoped that he could go 4 or 5, ideally maybe he could go 5 and be efficient, but that would be kind of a best case scenario. This was more, I don't want to say worst case scenario, but it certainly wasn't his best. But the fact that you're going to have this guy in the rotation behind Logan Webb every 5th day for 160 or whatever, now 151 games over the course of time, as I kind of described with those numbers, like, it can really, guys like this can get in a groove and then just dominate for 2-3 months in a row and just rack up a lot of wins. So yeah, it's like, to me, the bigger takeaway is kind of the offense. Like you said, even in the series win against the Padres, they were struggling to score constantly. And so right now they just got nothing going offensively. But I'm not concerned about Snell, and tonight, yeah, they just got to build him up, and hopefully next time out he's more efficient, and I would imagine he will be. But even if he's not, like we just saw, you can go 9 starts and be kind of really bad and then still be the best pitcher in baseball when the season's over.
Yeah, it's a long season, and Blake Snell's next start, if you're forecasting, should come against the Tampa Bay Rays, a team that in on the road in St. Petersburg. And that's a stadium he's very comfortable in. He spent the majority of his career there. He was drafted by the Rays. So a little bit of a homecoming for Blake Snell in his next start, we would assume, if everything goes according to plan between now and then. And so a mixed bag from Snell tonight. Want to thank Ben for his time today on this one. Really appreciate you. You're not getting paid for this show. You're just hopping on and helping out. So I appreciate it, man.
No,
We'll have to
absolutely.
connect again later on this season. And again, if you guys aren't already, I mean, I'm assuming you guys are all listening to the Locked On Giants regular podcast daily shows, but if you aren't already for some reason, make sure you check him out with Ben Kaspick. He does a great job breaking stuff down. Ben's got a ton of really great data analysis that I think he does a great job. So thanks, Ben. Really appreciate you hopping on, and we'll see you next time, dude.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and likewise to everyone listening who just follows me and is maybe checking you out for. I mean, I haven't tweeted this out or anything, so maybe that's not. I told people ahead of today's or on my show today that I'd be coming on tonight, so maybe there's some newcomers tonight. And so yeah, Eric does a great job right after the games breaking it down live. So check that out. We're a team. And it's just more Giants coverage. What more could you want? Except, tonight wasn't the best night, but
yeah.
Nonetheless,
Giants win. But as far as coverage go, we've got that on lock. I mean, I tweeted it out earlier this year. Triple E plus Big Ben Kaspick equals Locked On Stock to the moon.
Yeah.
What more do you want? What more
absolutely.
Do you want? So thanks, Ben. Really appreciate it, man.
Sure.
And we'll see you next time, dude.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, dude. All right. So thanks. That was fun. Thanks to Ben for hopping on the show. We'll keep it rolling on the Locked On Giants postcast. A lot to break down in this one. I want to get into some more moments from this game. Again, Nationals really just take it to the Giants 8-1 in this one. Blake Snell's debut spoiled. I see you guys there in the comments. Who was it? Reed, Pat Bailey has been iffy on defense, man. I'm all over it too. Don't worry. We'll get into that a little bit later in the show. What is going on with Pat Bailey on defense? It's really weird to see him doing this. I mean, we're so used to him just being rock solid back there. Strange things happening from Pat Bailey's defense in this one. We got to talk about the Blake Snell debut a little bit more in this Giants offense slumping. Talk about that as well. And I'm hearing reports of people doing the wave at Oracle Park. Oh man. That makes me angry, and we got to talk about that as well. Stick with us on the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll be right back. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 3 million members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. You pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Spring training is over and baseball season is officially underway. Don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond in your PrizePicks entries. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, you take your pick of more or less and add them to your PrizePicks entry today. PrizePicks has something for every sports fan, from baseball and basketball to League of Legends and everything in between. You can pick LeBron James, Shohei Ohtani, Connor McDavid, and even Jude Bellingham all in the same entry. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. It's PrizePicks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Welcome back to Locked On Giants postcast. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel. Tonight, the Giants fall to the Nationals 8-1. Why did the Nationals beat up on the Giants in the early season? They did this last year too. It's so frustrating, man. This team is not a good team. Lane Thomas seems to just kill the Giants every single time the two play. And I mean, I remember sitting in the KMBR luxury box last year at one of the first series of the season and watched the Giants just get wrecked by the Nationals then too. So I'm just kind of tired of seeing the Nationals like just beat up on the Giants in the early season. This is not fun. It's not fun. So we got a ton to get into today. That was really fun with Ben to start off the show. Talked a lot about Blake Snell. We'll touch on that a little bit in this one. Still got a little bit more I want to throw in on that. And Jung-Hoo Lee is the real deal. I think we're seeing that. Talk about that a little bit as well. Pat Bailey, defense is a question mark. All of these things we got to get into. The Giants offense slumping. But first, why in the hell are Giants fans doing the wave at Oracle Park? This isn't Dodger Stadium. This isn't Petco Park. There are two things you can't do. Two things you can't do at Oracle Park. That's bring a beach ball. everyone there should instantly pop a beach ball. You ever see a beach ball? You pop it. I don't care if you bite it, if you rip it, if you stomp on it, whatever you got to do, you pop that thing. You like smuggle a little butter knife into Oracle Park so you can pop it. Like whatever you need to do, you pop that beach ball. The second thing is doing the freaking wave. Do not, if you are a Giants fan, do not stand up and participate in that BS, that low-grade garbage that you see at Dodger Stadium and Petco Park does not belong at Oracle. I am sorry. If you are someone who enjoys this, go somewhere else and do it there. Don't do that at Oracle Park. Get it out of your system. Go to some soccer game and do it. I don't care. Go see the San Jose Earthquakes and go do the wave down there. Do not ever do the wave at Oracle Park. And if you see someone else doing it, defiantly sit down and yell at everyone else around you as they do it. I don't care if I sound like an old man who's yelling at a cloud and yelling at someone to get off my lawn. I really don't care. The wave, no place in Oracle Park. None. Now that that's over with, I want to get into a little bit more of this Blake Snell night. So again, Snell, 3 innings pitched, 3 hits, 2 walks, 5 Ks, 72 pitches, 39 strikes, did get squeezed big time. Mike Krukow said he was counting. He said 8 pitches he counted that Snell got squeezed on, and it could really even be more. Remember, the way that the strike zone works more or less is whenever he gets a report card at the end of a game, if it's within 2 strikes of the edge of the plate, it can be considered a strike, and they're not going to get kind of dinged, so to speak, for it. So there were a ton of pitches. Mike said he counted 8. I think there were even more. And you saw Tang getting squeezed at the end there. You saw Rogers getting squeezed at the end there to walk in a run in the 9th inning. It was a rough strike zone out there tonight for the Giants pitching staff to work with. It was a consistent strike zone, but it was pretty tight all along. So you're going to live with that. I think, Ben and I talked about, once Snell ramps up and gets going, he's going to be just fine. Don't be worried about Blake Snell. He will come around. He will be just fine. One thing I am kind of worried about, though, at this point, I don't know if it's peak worry yet, but Pat Bailey's defense. I mean, this was the one thing we could count on all season last year, was Pat Bailey was a rock solid catcher defensively. And if he would mix in offense, it's just a plus at that point because of how much he contributed behind the plate and how much he boosted up this pitching staff. He was stealing strikes all the time with his framing. And for some reason, we're seeing him just straight up dropping strikes. That's resulting in close pitches being called balls. He missed the tag at home plate tonight, and you saw the errant throw down to second base that went out into center field. A very weird start to the season for Pat Bailey. He's had some miscues in this season so far, and it's very unlike him. I'm not going to say I'm fully concerned about him, but I kind of wonder, he did add that weight in the offseason. Like, I used to play catcher in like little league and in just before high school. I played it in juniors and all that. So like, I'm not as experienced as Pat Bailey, but knowing when my body was changing at that time in my life and I would all of a sudden add more weight, it became different to like pop up and try and throw a runner down at second once you had that extra little bit of weight on you. And I'm wondering, since Pat Bailey did kind of beef up in the offseason, if that's affecting his pop time and his ability to throw down to second base. I'm wondering if that's messing up his flow back there, because that's a long time to sit in a squat. If you're adding more weight, it's going to make your job tougher back there. You're also going to have a little bit more durability once you're kind of used to it, but I think he still might be adjusting to his body, so to speak. Like he underwent a major physical change in the offseason. And I think it might take him a little bit more time to find his footing back there. I mean, it's really weird, man. It's really weird. This is not what I had on my Giants bingo card to start the year, was Pat Bailey playing bad defense. I mean, maybe a slow start at the plate, sure. But I thought that Pat Bailey was going to be, I'm not going to say the second coming of Buster Posey, so calm down. But I did think he was going to be like Benito Santiago-esque, if you feel me, maybe like, I know he's not throwing guys out from his knees at second base. Shout out Benito, who was just like the best arm back there, who got not nearly enough credit for it. But I mean, the way that Pat Bailey frames pitches, it shocks me that he's just dropping strikes. I have no explanation for that. Like, I don't even have a hypothesis as to why that's happening. Like, I kind of have a hunch as to why he's having issues throwing down to second, but I'm going to be very interested to see if there's any news coming out, if Melvin talks about this or Bailey talks about this with the media going forward. I mean, it's really weird to see him fumbling the bag back there the way he is. So very strange, very, very, very strange. I hope that he can figure it out. You know, this Giants team is much different when he's on his game as the backstop of this team, of this pitching staff, but he's just not there right now. And I'm not fully concerned. Like I said, I'm not pushing the panic button yet, but it is weird and it has sent up a red flag. So something to watch. Pat Bailey's defense. What in the hell is going on? Hopefully we find out in the next couple days, or hopefully he's just rights the ship and we don't ever talk about this again. That's really what I hope happens. He's not the only one kind of in a little bit of a slump right now. The rest of the entire Giants offense seemingly has just disappeared. After the hot start to the season, this Giants offense has just fallen off a cliff. We got to talk about it on the other side. Stick with us on the Locked On Giants postcast. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We will be right back. Today's show is sponsored by Gametime. Gametime is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Gametime app will actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. How cool is that? With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee, Gametime takes all the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. I absolutely love the last-minute deals where you can save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, whatever you're into. Zone deals are pretty sweet too. If you know you want to go see the Giants and let's say you want to sit on the right field wall, just pick your zone, pick your section, and let Gametime choose the seats for you. You'll save even more money. And of course, you got to love the all-in pricing. Make sure to toggle this feature on to show the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. I hate surprise fees, not as much as I hate the Dodgers, but I hate surprise fees. So this sounds pretty great to me. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. For a limited time, all users can get $20 off any MLB purchase of $150 or more in the Gametime app with code FIRSTPITCH. Terms apply. That's code FIRSTPITCH for $20 off any MLB purchase of $150 or more. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and the Giants leaving something to be desired today. Fall 8-1 to the Washington Nationals. Man, I hate games like this where you lose to a team that you know you're better than, but it is baseball, and that's just how it happens some days. And tonight, big part of that, the Giants gave up 8 runs. They only scored 1. I mean, even they held the Nationals to just 3. The Giants don't win this one, so Giants have failed to score more than 3 runs in a game during this homestand, averaging less than 2 runs a game during that stretch. You're not going to win a lot of games that way. You're just not. Giants shut out during that stretch as well. It's been rough. The Padres pitching staff really held them down, and now being held down by the Nationals pitching staff, I'm not going to, again, it's early. It's early season. We keep saying this. It's early. It's early. Well, it is. We're not going to push the panic button yet, but I am concerned. I am a little concerned. And you see the way that this team is slumping, and it seems like they're just going to be very prone to slumps this season. And they've still had hits and base runners in these low-scoring games, but they can't seem to get that timely hit. And they're also not really getting a ton of extra base hits. It seemed like they were hitting the cover off the ball in the first few games of the season. That seems to have gone down. You don't hear the same solid contact now that you heard off their bats at the beginning of the season. I mean, and you saw it tonight with the lack of driving in runners. Lamont Wade Jr. had a nice leadoff double, and the Giants move him over to third, and then they strike out twice, including another Mike Yastrzemski strikeout with the guy in scoring position. And man, am I getting tired of seeing that. I don't know what's wrong with Mikey Yaz at the plate, but he's got 1 hit this season. Tyro Estrada also not hitting well. Nick Ahmed not hitting well. Nick Ahmed you kind of live with a little bit because what he brings to you as a defensive shortstop is so good. And it's something the Giants have really been lacking since Crawford kind of aged out of being an elite defensive shortstop. So if that's the one guy on the team who's not hitting, that's fine. But you can't have the entire bottom of the order and one of your outfielders who you've kind of relied on over the years to be a bigger bat in the lineup slump like this. You need to have some kind of life, some kind of spark. And when guys like Michael Conforto, who Conforto didn't play because he had a side injury, and that kind of concerns me too, because he's the most injury prone guy on this team seemingly. And we were so happy at the beginning of the season when he seemed healthy and locked in at the dish. And he's the only Giant who's on a heater right now at the plate. And then he gets hurt. And then the Giants fail to do anything offensively when he's not in there. And that's a big concern to me because he is a pretty streaky guy. If he starts to slump or gets injured, as he is right now, he should be back tomorrow. Bob Melvin said this was just precautionary, kind of a good time to get him a little bit of rest, but still, you have to worry about injuries with Michael Conforto. You always, always, always do. And if he's hurt or slumping, this team can maybe not be so great offensively sometimes, like I love Jung-Hoo Lee at the top of the lineup. Jung-Hoo is going to get on base in, like 100, 120 games this year. He is rock solid at the top of this order. Yeah, he's been slumping a little bit tonight. He bursted out of that, no problem. In his first 3 trips, he was on base 3 times. He had 2 hits, scored the Giants' only run of the night. So you love to see that. His batting average back up to 238. That's going to continue to climb as the season goes on. And he's the only bright spot in the offense right now. Pretty much the only bright spot. I mean, the rest of the team just isn't doing a whole lot. I mean, even the big bats that they went out and added, Matt Chapman has been slumping. Jorge Soler, we thought he was figuring it out, but still slumping. There's a lot of Giants on this team batting below 200, and it's not good. Not good. Mike Yastrzemski batting 50, as in 0.050, 50. It's not good, man. It's not good. We need more production from this team at the plate if they want to win some games. It's plain and simple. You got to score more. Again, averaging less than 2 runs per game during this homestand, you can't, unless you're pitching a shutout every night, you're not going to win that way. So the Giants need to figure it out at the dish. They need to figure out someone else besides Michael Conforto to rely on. So he ain't really the most reliable guy. The best ability is availability. Michael Conforto isn't always available. You can't rely on him all season long. At the end of the day, you got to start wondering, with all these pitching pieces that the Giants have, do they make a move? Do they maybe package a Keaton Wynn with like a Mason Black or something and try and get a bat back that can help you now, that can help you right now? I think the Giants got to kind of look at all options on the table. Again, it's early in the season, so you don't want to pull the trigger on something like that right now. You should absolutely, again, keep saying Memorial Day, Memorial Day, Memorial Day, Memorial Day. For me, that's the marker. If someone hasn't figured it out by then, you need to start figuring out a contingency plan. But you got to give these guys time to ramp up, especially guys like Blake Snell, who tonight got, mixed bag in his performance tonight. 72 pitches, 3 innings of work, 3 runs. He did have 5 strikeouts. It's basically Snell's first spring training start, but at a little bit advanced level, So you'll take that. Snell's next start will come against his former team, the Tampa Bay Rays, out there in St. Petersburg on the road, as long as everything unfolds according to plan in between now and then with the Giants pitching rotation. We should see Snell again, and he'll be in a comfortable place, and I think that's going to bode well for him. I think he'll get right back on the horse, and I think he'll have a better game in that one than he did in this one. I think he's at least going, we'll say 5 innings. I think Snell's got at least 5 innings in him the next time out. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So that's about all the time we got for you guys in this one. Again, the Giants fall to the Nationals 8-1. Big thanks to Ben Caswick for coming on, taking time out of his day to come on the podcast and say what's up to you guys on here. Make sure you guys are checking out the Locked On Giants daily podcast on Locked On Giants YouTube channel and on the Locked On Giants podcast. Really appreciate you guys tuning in for this one. This was a fun show, even though this was not a very fun game. if you're doing the wave at Oracle Park, I don't know what to tell you. Please reevaluate your life decisions like right now, like yesterday. Do not ever do that again. Don't do it ever. And yeah, that's about it, man. Just don't do the wave at Oracle Park, especially when the Giants are losing. I mean, I know you're bummed that they're losing. You're probably losing interest in the game. Go across the street to Momo's and drink a beer. Don't do the wave in Blanken Park. God. It's just frustrating, man. It's frustrating. That's all the time we got for today. Giants lose a frustrating one, 8-1. I am frustrated with people doing the blanket wave at Oracle Park. Giants play tomorrow against the Nationals. We won't be doing a Locked On Giants postcast tomorrow because we got a massive Locked On Warriors postcast to do. Warriors, Lakers. I hate the Lakers almost as much as I hate the Dodgers. Not quite. I really hate the Dodgers. They take the whole hate cake, just hate. But, the Lakers can get it too. Hate them too. A lot. So Warriors, Lakers tomorrow. Tune in on the Locked On Warriors postcast for that one. And we'll come back live Wednesday for the Locked On Giants postcast with Paulie McCaffrey, the one and only Paulie McCaffrey. Particles will be flying everywhere, baby. So make sure you tune in for that. You're not going to want to miss that one. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Peace.